Well, good morning, everybody, and welcome. I am Pastor Guy, and this is Pastor's Corner. For those of you who are new to the corner, I'm Guy Watley, and welcome to my corner of the internet. It's a place where we get together once a week to encourage the believer on how to be in the world, but not of the world. If you like what you hear, follow us on Facebook and YouTube, subscribe to our channel. You can also catch us Sunday morning at 10:30 Pacific time as we live stream our Sunday morning services, and love to have you tune in. We're grateful for those that do. So give us likes and thumbs up and all of those things. Anyway, welcome. We're glad you're here this morning. So, this past weekend was a celebration for those of us in the Christian faith. We celebrated the King of Kings. For those who had nothing better to do, they protested no kings. Not sure what that was all about. You know, watching on TV and just reading a few articles, what we know is that we're never going to know things like how many people actually protested. Now, granted, in a nation as large as ours, with communities everywhere, you go down to a town like the Dalles, and there was 20 people standing out there. So you go to Washington, D.C., there was 100,000, I guess, or at New York, I don't know which one of those. The organizers said there were 7 million people. So that means there was at least half of that, if not less. So anyway, but that's not why it intrigues me. It intrigues me because people spend a lot of time and energy and money debating, arguing, and protesting something that only exists within their head. And that is that Donald Trump thinks he's a king and is acting like a king, which all we have to do is spend 5 minutes looking, and we see that that's not the case. He has more lawsuits filed against him. He's in more courtrooms. His administration is being sued and defending every ruling he makes. He is sued over. It doesn't matter what it is. That's the ball game, is to tie him up in court, to slow him down. And rightfully so, most of the time, his decisions are upheld by higher courts. It's even getting to the point of ridiculousness when the Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals, the most liberal court outside of maybe Washington, D.C.'s court, upholds what Donald Trump wants to do and says, yeah, it's constitutional. You got to let them send troops into Portland, Oregon before they burn the whole place down. And so it's interesting that they protested because they came up with the brilliant idea, let's call him a king and everybody will hate him. Of course, the meme on the internet or the humor that is out there is every July 4th, we celebrate no kings in America. It is called Independence Day, where we did exactly that, right? That's where patriotic Americans participate in parades, wave flags, have barbecues, genuinely celebrate all day long. And then at the end of the night, and well, we used to watch fireworks. We still do in Condon. A lot of communities have banned them. Yeah, they banned them. Maybe the communities are acting like oligarchies and kings. I don't know. The people aren't allowed to do the things that they desire to do. Um, so anyway, what does all this have to do with being a Christian and with a biblical worldview? And I think maybe nothing, but maybe everything. Because as we look at the United States, and it is I think a good study or a microcosm of the reality of the world in which we live, which is a world that is ruled by the deceiver. And Scripture's clear about that, that right now, in this period of time, um, the Apostle Paul tells us that the deceiver, the rulers of this dark age, meaning Satan and his minions, have limited, because God limits everything that they do, but they have jurisdiction and they are here to steal, kill, and destroy. And he is the great deceiver. And so the more that he can keep people's eye off the prize, which is Christ, the King, the more he wins. And the people that were protesting on Saturday, generally speaking, and obviously there's always outliers and there are always a little bit differences, but what we saw is the remnants of the hippie movement, of the, the season of love movement coming out of the 60s. All of these boomers, and I'm a boomer. I'm the last year. 1963 is, I think, the last year of the boomers, and that is me. But I certainly don't align with the group that were out there. So who did we have protesting? We had aged, disgruntled white people that were the same people who were protesting in the 60s, or if they weren't, they wanted to be. And or maybe they didn't, and they have felt guilty for the last 60 years, and so now they're out doing it. But they're protesting something that doesn't even exist. We have fair, sort of, they're free elections in this nation. Are they truly fair? Are they not rigged? That is definitely debatable. The deeper you dive into things. And I've always said the moment that President Obama stood up and said there's no way to rig a presidential election in America, it should have caused us all to pause and say, wait a minute. He just said the quiet part out loud, didn't he? That they will rig and do all they can. So here we sit in a nation in turmoil. And truth be known, we've always been a nation in turmoil. We're celebrating 250 years, which in the history of the world is really not much at all. And we are in turmoil. We are in disarray. We are at odds. And right now, the great slogan of our time is no kings. And I can't help, as a believer, find irony in that, and how much Satan must be relishing in that. Because for those of us who are believers, we can't even fathom a universe without a king. And we worship that king. We sing about that king. We pray to that king. We read that king's memoir called the Holy Scriptures. our world revolves around that king. And so as we think about the protests that were going on, and this is why I do tend to separate, I guess, as as the Bible does, but more so just as the things that we see. I can't imagine somebody parading around the streets of a city dressed as a cockroach in some weird outfit on a Saturday, and then on a Sunday morning showing up to worship the King. It doesn't compute with me. We have a complete disconnect from reality going on what is important and what is the priority. And I think that as we look at deception, as we look at our world, we are in a period of time where Satan is doing everything that he can to keep our eye off the prize, to keep our eye off the King, to keep our eye off eternity, to keep our eye off of heaven, to distract us, to say, look over here, don't look there. Focus here, don't focus there. You know, one of the things that I can remember teaching the high schoolers back in my youth ministry days is preparing for worship. And preparing for worship didn't mean staying up till 2 a.m. on Saturday, watching Saturday Night Live or some movie that really wasn't wholesome or worthy of watching, and then expecting to get up 6 hours later and walk into a church and have a heart prepared for worship. Those two things are incongruent. And we live in a world filled with incongruencies, things that don't line up. And so as I was thinking about the hymn, "O worship the King, all glorious above," I couldn't help but think of the irony that we see in the world today, where a majority of the people have no desire to worship anyone, much less the King of Kings and Lord of Lords, because they are so filled with rage and hate towards the POTUS. They have no room or time to do anything else. And that's sad. That's reality. And that's the world that Satan has wrought upon us all. O worship the King, all glorious above. O gratefully sing his power and his love. I'm Pastor Guy, and for what it was worth, that was Pastor's Corner on this day. You take care and be blessed, and hopefully I got this out in time. Have a good day.